Good afternoon. Today is January 13th, 2025, and we are together for the General Services Public Works Committee meeting. We have 2 items on the agenda today. The first presenter is Kelly Setters, our Deputy City Clerk, and the item is Proposed Amendments to Municipal Code, Chapter 5.68, entitled Child.
So the commission decided they wanted to help providers and facility owners, because it is a struggle right now in the child care industry. So the first amendment they would like is to eliminate the need for the TB testing, which is a cost of $45 to $60, depending on if you go to, urgent care or wherever. And this is not required by the state, so we're mirroring them. And we did check in with the infectious disease specialist, and she said that Idaho is a low risk at this time, that she didn't think it was needed. So moving on to amendment number 2. There's a lot of grandparents, parents, volunteers that just want to spend an hour a day with the kids reading to them or something. And we don't have this option currently to, they would have to go through all of those listed items I just said to be able to just visit in the classroom. So this allows them to visit for 12 hours a month, or no more than 12 hours a month. And they wouldn't have to go through all those hoops just to read to the children for an hour. And they're always supervised by someone else if this change was to, if you did approve that change. So amendment number 3 is just a housekeeping that we did with the zoning code in March, and we're just bringing that up to date in the child care code, and it was to allow 1 employee for only child care facilities. In-home child care facilities. Amendment number 4 is to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to obtain a provider license, which they would have to do all that criteria, the TB, safe sleep, all of those things. But they would still have to be supervised by a licensed provider at all times because they are underage there. And number 5, they would like to eliminate a full background check at renewal and instead require a Idaho courts database search, which is a name-based search. And then they want to mirror the ISP search, so that every 5 years, so it would be the state and the city would mirror each other, and every 5 years they would have to do that background check. And then in between would be the name-based check. So the financial, there would be some codification cost to the city with this code amendment, and child care providers would save the cost of the annual background check of $62 every year. So they'd only have to pay $10.50, and the cost of the TB exam at initial licensure. And with that, I would ask the council to, if they could approve the proposed changes to the Municipal Code 5.68, Section 20, 30, 50, and 110. And I stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any issues with the TB test. That seems like you sorted that out with the professionals. I do have a quick question about the parent volunteers that visit. Okay. I spent a lot of time investigating crimes, and so I guess I would want to be assured, I understand they'll have supervision, but why not just an initial, some sort of a background check for those people, even if it is searching the Idaho court database? I just think that's the responsible thing to do. I can't tell you how many cases involve volunteers, and children are,
Vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why that seems like an easy modification. It's not expensive. Somebody can check the Idaho repository. And then the second question, if I may.
Yes.
On the ongoing background check, just to be sure, initially, they're going to get the full background check.
Yes.
And then you're just saying for the next 5 years, you just check the repository.
Correct. Because currently, it's every year you have to pay that $62
I
to have a
understand.
background check every year with the city. And then the state is every 5 years. So we're just asking to mirror that state every 5 years rather than every year with the city.
Okay. So that, Madam Chair, those would be my only concerns, and I would offer an amendment when it's appropriate.
Okay.
Sure. Nope, I think that's good.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Two of them almost exactly mirror Christie's, but the first is, you said our child care facilities are currently struggling. Are you meaning that it was an opening statement financially? Is that the current struggle?
They're struggling with that and keeping providers, so they pay all this money up front, and then they have all these things they have to do just to get their job, and then they don't finish these things, so they're putting out more money to hire the next person in line.
Okay,
They're struggling to keep employees in their field.
okay, thank you. And then the next question, similar to what Christie asked about the parent volunteer coming in. Have we checked with the school district to see their process? I know both of my kids are graduated, but at the time they take your driver's license, do a quick scan of it through a system. I understand that not all child care facilities have access to that program, possibly, but I do feel like an additional protection should be there. And maybe the school district, as a suggestion, might have
The-
ideas for us.
Okay, I can check into that.
And my last questions is Amendment 5, eliminating the ISP check at renewal. Have we had any findings from that, doing that, that we would not find if we eliminated the ISP check at renewals? How many I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say catches,
Oh,
That I've
like-
caught over the years, every
Yes.
year.
that we
Very
would not.
few.
Very few, so that we would not now catch because we're not doing it.
Right. I always check the Idaho court database and the National Sexual Registry
Okay,
every time I process a license, even at initial, in between, every year I do that.
okay. Thank you. No further questions, we're ready for,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion with an amendment that council approve the proposed amendments to municipal code, chapter 5.6, entitled Child Care Facilities, with the amendment under number 2. The modification to not require a license for parent volunteer for a person who visits child care facility less than 12 hours a month, but must have an Idaho court database search, is what I would amend it to.
thank you.
And then be with a licensed provider at all times.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kelly. And we'll place this on our full agenda. Our next item today is a compost maintenance project, and we have Mike Becker here, our capital program manager with wastewater department. Welcome, Mike.
Well, good afternoon, counselors, and Happy New Year, by the way. Get this up and running. Excuse me. So this afternoon, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present our recommendation for award on our compost maintenance project. So what is our compost maintenance project? Well, out at our compost site, we produce Coeur green, and one of the first steps of doing so is to build these piles within building number 1. Well, the way we do that is we use the loaders to actually build the piles, and we extend pipes. We have to manually get out of the loader, put the pipe together, build the pile, as we do that progressively. And when we dismantle the pile, we have to do the same in the opposite direction. Well, as a result, you can see that we tend to damage the pipes. They tend to collapse. And the reason don't know where the mouse went. Well, there we go. So the reason for this is because they no longer produce a pressure-rated pipe, and we've had to go with a perforated non-pressure pipe. And just the weight of the compost piles tends to collapse it. Also, the pipes are becoming more and more harder to actually locate. So what are we going to do to fix this situation is, well, several years ago, you may recall that we did building number 2. And here's building number 2 and the exact same compost piles that we construct in there. Well, rather than use pipes, we actually built this with some trench drains. And we actually blow and vacuum out the air through the compost piles in the trench drains. And you can kind of see on this picture on the right, we have these steel plates with holes in them. Well, what does this actually buy us? Well, the operator no longer has to get out of the vehicle, out of the loader, and doesn't have to deal with the pipe. So it's a greater efficiency point from an O&M standpoint. And also, we don't have to be buying the pipe. Well, as compost production seems to be increasing as our wastewater flows are increasing, this is something that we had the mindset to look into and what we can do differently. Well, in building number 1, we would like to do the same thing that you see here. So some of this might actually seem familiar to you because we presented this last spring, and the bids came in almost twice of that, which we thought we had budgeted for. It's no fault of the engineer. He took the project that you see here in front of you, and we brought it up to present day dollar value, and we used that number to actually budget it. Well, the bids came in quite a bit higher. So last December, we went back out to bid. We brought this up before council when we asked for the bids to be rejected. And this slide here shows a bid breakdown. And so as you can see, I did provide within my staff report for references only last spring's bids, and we are actually about 10% cheaper with these new bids. So we have reviewed the bids. Selin Construction, based out of Wenatchee, came in with the lowest responsible bid. Add Alt 1 is for grinding of the asphalt floor. We would like to use those grindings to help build some roads out at the compost site to minimize the amount of mud that's actually being tracked out of the compost site onto city streets. Presently, Selin is in good standing with the State of Idaho Public Works Constructions Department. They're in good standing with the Secretary of State. This will be our first time working with Selin. However, the Streets Department did a project with them several years back out on Kathleen. Called up the Streets Department. They would reuse them again. They were very happy with their performance. So with that, it is staff's recommendation that we do, it's staff's recommendation to council to accept and award the bid from Selin. We'd also like to do the add alt number 1 for the grindings of the asphalt for a total bid of $320,000. And with that, I will stand with any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions?
Well, it makes a lot of sense, and anytime you can get a alternative added in there for $6,000, that sounds good. So, and you're going to reuse the material, so yeah, sounds like a good deal all around.
No further
We're
discussion?
not going to grind this down. Okay, so
Good
I would
presentation.
make
Yes.
a motion, let's see, to recommend that council approve the bid and contract with Selin Construction for compost maintenance project of the base bid amount of $314,000 and add alternative number 1 for an additional $6,000 for a total of $320,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mike. And Mike, really great job on Sid. What a great addition to the community. So for those of you who haven't seen our new art piece down at the wastewater department, Sid the Dragon has been installed, and we'll have a dedication coming up in February. But thank you for all your work on that.
It was a fun project. I really enjoyed that. It was so great to work with kids and the artists on that. This was a lot of fun for me, so thank you for the opportunity.
Will Sid's family be able to come?
I have invited Sid's family, and yes, they look forward to coming. We're also inviting the kids from the Boys and Girls Club. Those kiddos did a great job. They got to put their name on some of the tiles, but it's really neat. I would encourage anyone with the available time to swing by and take a look at, but we will do that dedication come February. That'll be fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And having no more items before us, looking for a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
We are, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.